Cedric Burnside has never strayed far from the distinctive blues styles that was introduced to the world by his pioneering bluesman grandfather, R.L. Burnside. Cedric's life on the road began at the tender age of 13, drumming for his grandfather in Mississippi juke joints. Foregoing church and other Southern childhood stabilities, the juke joint was both his doctrine and his classroom. That impression played a big part in his life experience and became the calling that would establish Cedric as a force to be reckoned with amidst the blues legends. His never-ending passion to express himself better than he did on the song before has gained him critical acclaim, including a Grammy for his 2021 LP, I Be Tryin', and multiple blues music awards. Today, the accolades show no signs of slowing up, with his recognition as 2024's Mississippi Governor's Art Award of Excellence in Music. Please welcome Cedric Burnside to Face the Music.
Hello, this is Cedric Burnside, and it's time to face the music with Joby Rogers.
All right, let's get to it. So, blues is arguably the most influential music in American history. It was the first Black music to really cross over and reach white audiences in America. The Stones, Beatles, Elvis, and countless other white artists have benefited from it tremendously, with some of them not really giving the proper due or recognition of it. When it comes to the roots of blues music, I hear a lot of that we're trying to hold on to something that's sacred in America. So in your opinion, Cedric, why do you think blues has held such a permanent authority over rock and roll?
That's a great question. In my own words, I'm gonna say, I used to have my big daddy say all the time, blues is the roots of all music. And and I agree. Us as Black people, we always had the blues, So it's only, right to say that we started this thing called the blues. Everybody, in even in these days and times, you might listen to other music, but anybody can have the blues today. If you're riding down the road and you have a flat tire and you're sitting there and that don't have a spare, you got the blues, and it don't matter what color you are. You know what I'm saying? Back in the days, Black people as slaves, they had the blues. It's safe to say that a lot of white people gave it to them, they gave them the blues. So they gave them a reason to have the blues.
I don't know if you know, I have a friend called Chris Thomas King.
Yep, I know Chris.
Did you get his new book?
I haven't, but I gotta get it. I didn't know he had one out.
Yeah, he spent years and years doing this book. So the question is, there are some contradictions, because we got into this a lot, and where the blues originated in America. Some say it started there in the Delta. Others say New Orleans. So in your opinion, where do you think the blues sowed its roots in America?
Well, that's a good question too, because I thought for a long time, Jamestown. And a lot of slaves came to Jamestown, but a lot of them migrated. They didn't stay there. A lot of them migrated to New Orleans. And so I do see a lot of, the slave trail going through New Orleans. And as I've been going to New Orleans, a big part of my life, I found out that the blues started there first before it came to Mississippi. I don't know if it started in Jamestown first, before it went to New Orleans, but I do know that it started in New Orleans before it came to Mississippi.
It wasn't until 2018 when you released Benton County Relic that you became truly comfortable recording and performing original music entirely on your own terms. So that LP earned you your second Grammy nomination, established you as a commanding songwriter. So your musical influences are pretty well known. In regards to your songwriting, if you are the Van Gogh, who is the Matisse?
Well, I have to go, and I know I'm gonna sound biased, but I have to go with my big daddy, R.L. Burnside, who I, learned a lot from, as well as going through the things that we went through to make up the songs that we write, as well as, just showing me what I know on traveling scene, of music. But my big daddy, I loved his songs that he wrote. Um, but and if I must speak a little about him, I have to speak a little about my uncle, Gary Burnside, who, that's one of my, Big Daddy's sons. He's the youngest actually. And I think he's just a phenomenal writer. He ain't heard of that much out there.
I wanted to talk to you about that specifically. You were raised in the house of your grandfather, R.L. Burnside. Known to his friends, I think it was rural, they called him.
Rural. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He was a profound singer, songwriter, and guitarist in his own right. In 1942, at 16 years old, he started on the harmonica, and then he experimented with the guitar, mostly from a man they called Fred McDowell, I think.
Oh man, Mississippi Fred.
So his music received little recognition until the early 90s, actually, when he toured with John Spencer, which strangely enough garnered him a fan base in punk and garage rock. He was a man who took chances, obviously. So the propulsive or creative force in you prefer to take risk and roam into uncharted territory, or do you like to stay true to the devil you know as opposed to the devil you don't know?
I would have to say that's a great question, man. I don't think I ever been asked that before. Um, but I would have to say I love to take chances. You know, I took a chance, just doing my own original songs. People was looking at me, as my granddad's drummer. They was like, "This is Ariel's grandson," and that's how they looked at me. He played drums for Ariel. Well, when I started to make my own path, into the hill country blues scene, nobody really, saw me as making my own path. They only saw me as, R.L. Burnside's grandson and drummer. So I was taking a risk on, recording an album and doing my own music, as opposed to, doing an album and putting most of my Big Daddy songs on them, which people know, and just a few of my own. you know, um, but I had the mindset of, I am going to just step out on that limb. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Um, but I thank the Lord that, people liked it pretty good. So
With the family name Burnside so deeply rooted in blues history, how do you personally carry the heritage and legacy of the name and the music forward through all these years you've been doing this, but still manage to keep it fresh and relevant for yourself as well as new fans you connect with along the way?
wow, Roger, I always tell myself, man, every day that you know, the world is gonna give you something to write about every day. Whether that's good or bad, the universe is gonna spit you out something. You know, and I guess how I really just keep it going and keep the Burnside name going is, I just be me for the most part. It's true that my big daddy, he opened the door for the Burnside family, and I'm very grateful. I thank him and the good Lord for that. But it was up to us to walk through the door, and I'm just glad that I wasn't scared to walk through the door and try to make, my own path. I think that's something that my big daddy would have wanted, as well. Matter of fact, I know it's something that he would want. I got a very musical family. They don't travel as much. I really don't know the answer to tell you why they don't travel as much because they are phenomenal musicians. Um, but I can say this, sometimes uh, the streets, you know, musicians are more loyal to the streets than they are to the music. Um, and I think that's kind of where my uncles was at the time. They even though they was loving the music and it was in their blood, they didn't really have time for it at the time. And I think things are different, today. But me, I was one of those cats that I was amazed every time. My big daddy used to throw house parties. I was amazed. I was there looking like I gotta play this music. That was me. And so here I am today.
Your LP, Hill Country Love, was the follow-up to your 2021 Grammy-winning album, I Be Trying. When you're writing new material, Cedric, do you retain any pressure from your past successes?
I wouldn't say I retain pressure, but I always want, the next album to be just a little bit better than the last one. You know, and if you want to call it pressure, you can, but I don't feel the pressure. I just, in my mind, I just say, well, man, the last album was great, but I want this one to be even greater, you know. But even while saying that, I always like to stay true to who I am. I like to write my music according to how I live my life and things that I go through, things that my family go through and my friends go through. So that's how I like to write my music. I will not put out a song talking about something that I never did or that I never had. That's just not me. Um, but yeah, I love to write music and the pressures is just out the window for me now because I know that I am music, you know.
The blues, speaking of that, the blues by its nature, you're talking about people write what they feel, especially in today's environment. So the blues by its nature is a rebellion against the establishment. It spoke out against oppression. Artists have benevolent position in all societies, especially blues artists. So is it the artist whom shines the light on what society truly is, be it good or bad, functional or flawed? And the semblance of artists like Bob Marley, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Springsteen, and Bob Dylan, who have used their music and platform to speak out against political, racial, and environmental injustices. So, Cedric, do you think it is an artist's duty to reflect the times, or should music be used as an escapism?
That's kind of like a trick question to me. But due to I don't really just do politics, and I never really got into politics. Um, but I'm not afraid to express myself, if I can say that. If it's something that I feel like I can write about it. If it make anybody mad, so be it. If it come across kind of harsh or wrong to somebody, so be it. You know, but I don't do it according to politics. So, I know that we got some rough, crazy times that we're going through right now, and probably more rougher in the future. But I can write about myself and what I have been through, just in hopes for people can relate to, you know, the feelings that I had. Maybe they don't had those feelings, the things the situations that I was in. Maybe they done been in some of those same situations and done been there and done that, and they can relate. Um, so I mainly just write my music, hoping that people can relate to, some of the things that I've been through and, some of the situations that I've been in. I just hope that people can relate to it. And sometimes if that leans over into politics, then so be it, but I'm not a politicking man.
But you are an accomplished drummer. I've watched some of your videos. um, and you are a three-time Memphis Blues Award winner. So, what do you find more demanding, drumming and singing, or as a front man behind the guitar? What's more comfortable for you?
Well, normally I wouldn't say this, Roger, but when it comes down to um, the Blues Awards of Memphis, I got about nine at my house right now. If I'm gonna say is drums I don't love, I would be lying because I love drums. But guitar has become my newfound love. It has become my newfound love. I can write better to the guitar, than I could the drums. And I also can sing better, behind the guitar than I could the drums. So I will have to say it's better for me behind the guitar to express myself than it is behind the drums. Although I still love the drums, you know.
With the introduction of young blues artists like Eric Johansson, Ali Venable, and Larkin Poe, among many others, is blues music evolving in ways you like or dislike?
I have to say, man, I like all music. When it comes down to blues, people have their own things that they go through, their own things that they write. Um, but I will have to say it this way: blues to me is something that you really go through, and you're able to go and tell people about it. You live through that, and then you write about that, you sing about that. That's true. And I don't know if these musicians, these musicians out here done been through the stuff that they talk about or not. But when you done been through it, it's kind of, it's easier to write about it because you done been through it. It's all there. Um, but I do know that some people play the blues because they like the blues, not because they've been through the hard times of what blues is, not because of that. They play the blues because they like the blues. So it's a difference than playing the blues because you like it and you done heard some songs and you say, well, I think I want to play that music. Than it is than if you done grew up and not having no food for 3 days, wondering where your next meal gonna come from. Your house done burnt down and you don't know where you're gonna stay at because your family members don't really want you to stay there.
So Johnny Lang and Robert Johnson.
Wow,
Um,
good comparison. I like Johnny though.
yeah, I've seen Johnny in concert. It's incredible. So you've appeared in several films, including Tempted, Big Bad Love, and the hit movie with Samuel Jackson, Black Snake Moan. And you also played the title character in Texas Red, I believe it was. So, what are the fundamental differences between walking on a stage as a musician and acting in front of a camera?
Well, one of them is I had to, be taught how to, act. And the music thing, it was in my blood, so I always knew it, as a kid. But um, when I first got on the, film, they had to tell me, what to do, what to say, and how to do it and how to say it. You know, so yeah, it's a big difference there for me. But I have grown to like the movie industry. I have grown to like acting, and I look forward to doing it more.
So 75 years from now, long after you and I are long gone.
Yeah.
So this interview will be available somewhere on whatever YouTube or Google is in the future. What would you like to say to your progeny?
Well, I will have to say, man, be yourself. Always stay true to who you are. I think that's very important, that you stay true to who you are. And just like you said a while ago, you can't be scared to show people you. You got to be willing to step out on that limb and have faith to show people you, because the day that you step out on that limb and have that faith, that might be the day you need to skyrocket your future.
Before I go, I just want to ask you if you have any comments on this interview or anything you'd like to add, Cedric.
Well, I do have one thing that I need to say. Well, let me put it this way. You asked me some great questions, questions that I never been asked before, and they was interesting. And I'm happy that you asked them to me because now, people know my true feelings of some of the things that they never asked me.
Awesome. Well, much appreciated, sir, and I hope to catch a show down the road.
All right. Well, I think during my CD release tour, we're gonna be doing the East Coast run, and I think we're gonna be close to you.
I'll keep an eye out.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, sir. Safe travels, bro.
All right. Peace.